This episode is brought to you by Baylor Norris Publishing, bringing stories to the world that last forever.
Today on Faithfully Fantasy.
She see that through the window there's a thick curtain of snow. And Andarna said that, it began an hour ago. And here is when I think there's Lilith still alive.
And it means that we're probably going to meet at some point Violet's equal, because we thought Theophany might have been, but who is Violet's equal? We maybe just don't know them yet.
Why Jack was so important, that he nearly died, they had so much effort just to keep him alive, and I think he's gonna be the Venin side of Violet with his power wielder. Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy,
The husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
Today we're kicking off our deep dive into Onyx Storm, starting from the Prologue, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2.
We are so excited to get back into doing what we love most, dissecting the words of Rebecca Yarros, sharing theories, ours and yours, and curing that Onyx Storm hangover.
Before we dive in, just a quick reminder, if you love our content and want even more, check out our subscription plan. You'll get access to exclusive monthly content, early episode release, and much more. You can subscribe directly on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, but we highly recommend visiting our website to find the best plan for you. You'll get the most value for your money at faithfullyfantasy.com. Become a member. And without further ado, let's get into the Squad Brief.
Squad Brief is the new part of the show where we brief you on the chapters we are covering today, a short summary to get you prepared for the oncoming storm. Today we follow our darker than ever Shadow Daddy down the interrogation chambers. We have a conversation with Jack. We learn Venin walk among us in scribe clothes. We glimpse Theophany before she escapes. The shadows defeat the Venin. And why is it always violence?
Okay, so this season we're calling our deep dive section of the show our history class. In major diverse world, history and current events are tied because one influenced the other. This is where we'll dissect the events of Onyx Storm and attempt to seek out the clues that will foreshadow the future.
So the epigraph for the prologue. Securing Basgiath and the wards has come at great cost, including General Sorrengail's life. Strategy must adjust. It is in the realm's best interest to ally with Poromil, even temporarily. Recovered correspondence of General Augustine Melgrin to His Majesty King Tauri. So, Lilith's dead.
Well, that's going to be a point of view that we'll see later on.
She's totally dead. Right, so the only thing that really jumped out at me on this was that General Melgrin clearly sees the alliance with Poromil as temporary.
Yes.
So he's not planning to stick around for the long haul. And he's just doing it to kind of defeat the Venin, which I don't know if that's what everyone will take from that epigraph. But for me, it just feels like there's still something not so great about Augustine Melgrin.
The way that I see this is the Melgrin know the shit had hit the fan. And now they need to work with Poromil to try to keep everything under control. But I think they even, if they can give them words to everyone or whatever, he just doesn't want to be close to Poromil or anything. So I guess that hate had been for centuries. They started just because the Venin, and maybe that's still there, regardless if the Venin are there or not.
So I don't want to start the deep dive with like everyone's a Venin, but the fact that Auric manifests a very similar signet, it's not the same, it's better, but it's very similar, and we know that everyone has that magic likes a balance.
Yes.
And you have later when somebody turns Venin, that signet manifests in someone who hasn't turned Venin.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a chance that Melgren has turned Venin and Auric is his balance?
Auric's signet is definitely way better than Melgren because he has totally preconnection, while Melgren, the only thing he can see is the result of the battles.
He can't see how, can he? He can see what the outcome is.
Yes, and it's always battles, while Auric, at the moment, we are not sure if it's just battles or could be anything. So far, it looks there's like anything. So I don't think it's similar, like, with the intensity, you have like different levels. So I think Auric had like the one that he can just see everything that may be influence and the thing that he wants.
Yeah.
Okay, so this chapter, we're going to start as really from the end of Ironflame on Seidan's point of view. So we started as following Seidan. There's walking in the dark, Violet is falling really close. Now he feels the darkness. It feels like something more powerful. There's something that we saw from Ironflame, that whatever it is, it feels like we can blend into the darkness even better. Violet is following him. She's struggling, and the only way that she can follow is because of the bond. So even with the bond, it's really difficult to see where he's going. But that's the thing that keep them connected somehow, because he had the shields up, and she shouldn't be able to like see it, but she still see that bond.
Yeah, I thought that was really weird. I think she also refers to a dragon. She says because of the dragon bond, which means not their bond. I don't really know, but the question it brings up in my mind, and again, we're going to get to this point eventually, but do they still have that bond by the end of the book? Is the other dragons still bonded? And I know that we can't really go so deep into that theory right now, but there is a theory that when Ten is resting, is he resting because Andana needed to break the bond? But we'll get to that.
Yeah, that's something that for me wasn't that clear, but yeah, definitely once we get to that point, we need to like discuss. For Violet, it's really weird that he's doing this because he's been all day with the head down. He's just being guarded by Body and Gary. Obviously, he doesn't want that everyone see him with red eyes. So he's been like really hiding himself. And for Violet, it's just weird that now he's risking everything to go. God knows where he's going at this point. Is where Violet is thinking. She is just following. Then she see that through the window there's snow. There's like a thick curtain of snow. And Andarna said that, yeah, it began an hour ago. Andarna says gently. And here is when I think there's Lilith still alive. And I know what you're going to say, but...
How? How do you think that Lilith is still alive?
Well, if you remember, in Iron Flame 1, I was saying the only way that I will be completely convinced that Lilith is dead is if at the beginning of Onyx Storm, we see something happen with the body. It's being burned, it's being in a funeral, like something to be clear. She is dead, the body is gone. So that's it. But for me, obviously, because we have some reference about her being a Venin, even when some little hints, so obviously we have no confirmation that she is a Venin. But there was some, at least for me, two powerful reference. First one, Violet, when she was saying the long time ago when she was little, Mommy come back home with red eyes. She was scared, she thought that she was a Venin. That's like the first one. Second one, there is a epigraph somewhere when Nolan is telling her there's no cure, it's only control. At this point, we don't know who is talking about. Could be Brennan, could be somebody else. I think it's talking about herself because that previous reference about the Venin. Venin can only die with power. If there is stabbed maybe with a dagger or something, there's been properly prepared with magic, imbued with magic. And the way that she died was because she got drained by Sloan. So she put all the power from her to the stone. That's how she dies. But for me, as a writer, that part when, okay, she died. So don't look her anymore. She's dead. She had no pulse. She's stiff, whatever. Then the body just going out with the rest. We don't know anything else about it. But if she was a Venin, I'm thinking this is the moment when maybe she just wake up. She start properly channeling from the ground, like Satan did. And then when she was doing this, all this power come to her with this massive snowstorm.
So where's she gone?
She's escaping because she can't be seen as a Venin. So she's using it to escape, is what I'm thinking.
This is crazy.
Oh, come on. You're the one who said that Nolan is Malik and
No,
that
yeah,
God.
True.
So I'm still convinced that at some point we're going to see Lilith Sorrengail. And it's just because there's this reference about she being a Venin. And again, for me, the episode that she is being like, I don't know, the body had been cremated by dragonfire, or she'd been buried or whatever. It's just not that.
So we know all her stuff has been burned, and I get
Yes.
the Venin references because I was like Lilith as Venin all of the last book. And I know my other counter argument doesn't really stack up either because Rebecca Yarros says she doesn't bring people back from the dead. Like once they're dead, they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
We thought Jack died, and he didn't.
I had the same feeling right now.
We thought Berwyn, we didn't actually believe that, but you know the sage, the maven that Xaden said he'd killed. Well, turns out he wasn't. But throughout this book, she makes us think Mira's dead, and then you turn the page and Mira's not dead. She makes us think Ridoc.
Brennan is the one that in the beginning, he was dead.
Oh yeah, Brennan was dead. the biggest example. We think Ridoc's been stabbed in the side. We think he's going to die. He doesn't die. So I'm not sure I really believe the...
That is the difference. Once the character is properly dead, yeah, she doesn't bring it back. But that's the thing for me, is not being like completely close as a character. That, yes, rest in peace is a general. Should have like a ceremony or just everyone is around, all the bodies getting burned. No, it's just like, she's there. Forget about it. Next. So like, for me, it's exactly the same feeling that I had when Jack Barlowe died.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, but his name wasn't in the death roll. Why? But she's not always there with the death roll, so they may be decided and blah, blah.
So there's two things. I don't think she could stay hidden. I think she would want to help. She would want to fight for her kids. I have realised, though, I think why she didn't leave and go to Aretia at the end. And my biggest thing, and there's a reference to this in this part of the chapter, it had been warm enough for thunderstorms earlier. This is almost certainly theophany, right? Mm-hmm. And I think there's a few references to that in these couple of chapters. Theophany's got stronger all of a sudden because Lilith has been really, really exhausting herself fighting theophany with storms. So a storm comes, then she pushes it back. That's why Lilith didn't leave. And that's why she had rings around her eyes and she's been exhausted. She's gone. Theophany is now taking over, is now becoming powerful. Had Lilith not gone or died, I don't think Theophany would have become so powerful.
For me, it's about as well the Theophany. She never used snowstorms when she was fighting. She was doing like tornadoes, storms, lightning, but I can't remember she getting actually like a snowstorm. If she's able to do it, but if she's able to do it, what she didn't, when that's like one of the biggest arms against dragons or anything that can fly, because for them it's really difficult fly with the snow.
Mm.
It would be more
I
effective.
don't think she needed to, because the tornado was pretty badass, wasn't it? But this one, it says thunderstorms.
It's something that I had to say. It's still in my mind that has not been properly closed. So obviously we had to wait another 2 books. Then by the end of the book, if she doesn't appear, then I might start thinking that she's not coming back.
Okay, another 2 books. Okay, I'm leaning that she's not alive. You're leaning that she is. But I get it. I get your arguments. I do.
Okay, so back to Violet following Seidan. She see that he's going to the chamber interrogation when there are 2 guards in front of the door of the chamber. Violet managed to convince the guard to let her pass, and she gets 10 minutes alone with Jack. Obviously, they don't know that Seidan is dead as well.
Yeah, the guards are under strict orders from Milgren not to let anyone down. Is that because he knows Panchek's plan? Because this is Panchek's plan, right? Panchek is the only one who can give him access to his son.
It's something weird with all of this, but I still don't know, or I'm not sure about Melgren's point in all of this. Because some reference Violet describing that I won't be surprised if one day this guy turns Venin in front of everyone, because he's like really sinister as well. So I don't know if that is just like to make us believe that he's actually a Venin, and maybe by the end he's actually the one who was no part of all of this.
Yeah, I feel like he's the he's not good, but he's not a Venin.
He's not a Venin.
Yeah, I agree with that right now. But I've already wondered if he's Venin twice in this episode. So let's see as we go through the book.
So while she's going down to the chamber, she's wondering why Seidan is doing this. And Dana said that she can't blame him for wants to know where he's now. So Violet take him back and tell her that he's not a soulless Venin.
Yeah, she says, surely we can repair wherever his soul may have cracked. There are theories flying around all over the place that, spoiler alert of Harry Potter, surprise, surprise, this is us, that Xaden's soul is in the Emerald Ring at the end of the book. I'm leaning that it's not at the moment, but I've got to reserve judgment for it. It's a bit too Horcruxy, isn't it? Isn't it like a bit?
Yeah, it's a lot similar to Harry Potter, if that actually happens. But
it's not because he wants to stay alive. It's because he wants her to protect it. So it's different. It is different, probably enough.
Yeah, but it's more about he putting like the piece of his soul in something physical. That's the part that like really like Harry Potter.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that I found like weird if is actually happening, but we can't say it's 100% no, because you never know.
We'll see.
Yeah,
I do think there's a cure for Venin that turn for love. I don't think the soul fully dies if you turn for love. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, sort of think as well. There's like different kind of Venin. They're the one that's fighting, or they just want power, and then the one they just want to protect the people they love.
Yeah.
Violet asks her to be with her on her side because she can't take what Tern is thinking about Seidan in all this situation. Obviously, Tern is against Seidan as a Venin. So she said that she can't have her other dragon telling her exactly the same. So she said, all right.
Yeah,
just like that. So she's like with Violet. And this is the sneak peek that we got directly from Rebecca Yarros in London when she was saying exactly this point, when she had this discussion and she needs Andarna, and Andarna is there for her. So Andarna says that she can't say anything against Seidan because he is as unknown as she is. So that reminds to Violet that Andarna is from the Seventh Den and she was able to burn a Venin with her fire, something that no other dragon has done before.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it all night. Magic feels different when I change colour. Maybe my use of power in that moment altered the Venin, weakened her enough to blister. So, this made me really think. We know that there's a difference between channeling magic from the sky and channeling magic from the ground. So, in that moment, she's channeling magic from the sky. Does that mean in any other moment she's channeling from the ground? So she's actually able to do both, but when she's Irid, she's channeling from the sky. Because it seems to be when her magic feels different when I change colour.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes it seem like it's when she's changing colour, that's when it's feeling different and it's coming from the sky.
Yeah.
Does that mean that was the first time she did it? She channeled from the sky?
I'm not sure about it because I think 7 Den dragons are like really like magical creatures. So I'm not sure if they need to channel from anywhere. Maybe they are like pure magic, and that's why like one of the reasons they were allowed to leave the continent. They don't need to be in the continent to get that magic from the ground or from the sky or from whatever.
If it is from the sky, though, it's pretty clear. It feels like, though, the fact that she says it's different when she changes colour, that there's something that she's realising she's doing differently in that moment.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I definitely think that dragons are Venin.
Mm-hmm.
They're not Venin, but they shouldn't be channeling from the ground. They should be channeling from the sky. And there's so many things that I hear through the book that's like, there's one in the next chapter actually, and maybe we should wait to talk about it until then. But it feels like the dragons have forgotten what their true magic is, and it was the magic from the sky, but they realise they could be more powerful if they take it from the ground, and they channel from the ground now. But they don't seem to sap the power from the ground, so they must get it from much deeper. It's not like a Venin where when they take it, terrain goes dead.
Yeah.
But they definitely can't access magic when they're on the Isle Kingdoms. And that for me is like, well, they're not doing it from the sky then, are they? They're doing it from the ground.
Yeah, that's something that I thought it was like really weird. Just because they are like outside the continent, there's no magic at all. Like all the magic just focus on the continent, regardless if it's ground or sky.
It must be. There's like crystals in the ground, like Atlantis.
Yeah.
Like there's so much there that we just need to unpick as we go through the deep dive. But I genuinely think that's what the dragons are hiding. That's their secret.
That will be the final twist. The dragons are actually the Venin.
Well, they're not Venin, are they? But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
They're stealing magic from the earth when actually they should be using it from the sky. But you don't know what. I mean, it needs a balance, and maybe that's it. Maybe the other dragons came as a balance to the Irids.
Yeah.
Because that's the main thing, is that magic needs balance, and we've had that right from the beginning of Fourth Wing.
Yeah. Something that from all of this and this specific scene that I found like interesting was when Andarna was saying that when she changed color is when she feel the magic is different, and when she was doing that is when the Venin was affected by the fire. So I was just thinking, is it maybe possible the Venin had like some kind of like a power magic that they're not affected by the fire or the sixth den, for example, that each dragon give the fire to do something in some point in history to the Venin, so they not are affected for the fire, except the 7 den, and then when Andarna was doing it, actually that was the fire that it was burning.
Because it's a new type of fire fueled by the power from the sky. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, something like that.
I am a bit confused about it though, because Bodhi at the end can't seem to counter Theophany, and Violet's, there's something around it being not the right type of power, which incidentally, I think I brought this up last week, is that I think that's the reason Bodhi would turn. But yeah, I just feel like there's something I can't quite get my head around. I'm going to have to do my like insane mapping and sketching it out, because I think it's the first time we've really heard about this, isn't it? That you can't counter the signets of the venom because it's a different type of magic.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't 100% make sense to me right now, so I need to figure it out.
Going back to Violet, she goes to get closer to Zaydan, and she can hear that he's talking with Jack. Jack knows that he's a Venin. And I was wondering, is this just because they had the same master, or just because they are Venin? So we will find out later on that, yes, Venin can sense between them, but I don't know until which point they know if they're like brothers, like from the same family line.
Yeah, how do they know that? And the thing is, it says the reason the higher ups want her. That's one thing I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
When he's talking about Violet, we'll come back to that. The main thing I wanted to say was it said a little brotherly advice, and so at that point he does know, I think, that he's in the same.
They had the same sage
family,
yeah,
as Zaydan, and yeah, we know that the one who turns Venin at the end, he calls him a new brother, and it's not literally a new brother, is it? It's just somebody that's joined the family of Venin.
yeah.
All with Berwyn as Daddy Berwyn, we should call him. The higher ups want her is because she's full of power, and they want that power. I don't think that is true. And we learn later that Theophany wants the Irid as well.
Yeah.
And it makes me think that Jack doesn't really know a lot at all. So I don't think he's mega important in the Venin. I don't think that's why they're trying to get him out. But because he doesn't know a lot. But why are they trying to get him out? Anyway, we'll get to that.
So, yeah, Violet can hear that she's still the main topic. But Jack knows there's only a matter of time for Zaydan to become a Hassin. And Darna tells to Violet they need to find the 7th Den, because they might know how to cure the Venin. Violet agrees and asks to Darna to tell to Glenn that she needs Imogen.
Yeah, so again, I keep coming back to this. Who turned Venin at the end of the book? Only Garrick, Bodhi and Imogen know. We need to work out the timeline of this book. Is the whole thing 5 months? Because that's the key thing. It says he's watched me struggle for 5 months. If the whole timeline of this book is 5 months, which I need to work out, only Garrick, Bodhi and Imogen know. So we know it's not Imogen.
It's definitely between Garrick and Bodhi.
The only other hat that I would throw into the ring is Auric, on the basis that we think Auric can already see the future, and he would have seen that Zaydan was a Venin. He wasn't close to the struggle. He wouldn't have seen him struggle.
He didn't know, unless they said it was because preconnection.
You can't rule him out, but it's got to be Bodhi or Garrick, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's more about the part that Zaydan says he has seen me struggling for the last 5 months, or after all the stuff that he told me about it, and now he just does exactly the same.
Yeah.
So it has to be, and the way that he's talking, I think he's talking about Garrick, but we have some thoughts that could be Bodhi as well, because there was some weird thing going on in the battles.
I'm more that it's Bodhi, because Bodhi's more likely to.
No, for me, it's just because Gary was the one who was always with Zaydan, regardless. Bodhi wasn't all the time with him.
Yeah.
And Garrick was he never wanted to give any chance to be with Violet, so.
Oh my god, we're going to be talking about this for months. It's not even come up, and we're still looking for clues. Should we move on to chapter 1?
Okay, chapter 1.
Epigraph, nice and simple. I will not die today. Strike through. I will save him. Violet Sorrengail's personal addendum to the Book of Brennan. I don't have anything to say about that. We've known about this for ages.
I remember there were some theories that were saying, I think I was talking about Jack. She needs to save Jack.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah, it's definitely not Jack.
So we start the chapter and it's 2 weeks later. So 2 weeks after the little midnight trip down to see Jack Barlowe.
Yes.
Tan's got a new nickname for Zaydan, the Dark One. After what we just said about the dragons, I think that's a bit rich coming from Tern. He's the one that's also channeling magic from the ground.
Yes. Plus he's black dragon, so...
Yeah, the dark one. Let's start calling Tern the dark one.
Yeah, the big dark one. Colombia, we had a saying about something like this. There's like the donkey criticized about ears. So
yeah, it's exactly that.
Yeah. Yeah, so we start the chapter with Violet. They are flying, doing some patrols, looking for Venin around the ground. So all the ones they managed to escape, they're just hunting them.
Yeah, this is just before she is due to visit the Cenarium.
Yes.
The king's kind of council. We learn that the Cenarium are there for an alliance negotiation. Poor Emil has publicly declared they'll walk after the 7th day if terms can't be reached, and it isn't looking good. So this isn't the main thing of the scene, it's just an information snippet that we get.
So all the riders are hunting down all the Venin. They manage to escape, but even they don't have that much power within the world, they're still little. And the last week they had added some names at the death roll and surprises attack. First wing, third wing, cloud section from fourth wing. None of them from second wing.
Yeah, we were so late to this line of thinking, weren't we? That second wing are sus, but they're still sus.
Even more now. This Venin, they have killed everyone except second.
How did they not lose anyone?
That's the weird thing. So everyone is looking for Venin. Probably second wing is like, we couldn't find anyone.
I missed this.
They put him
totally
inside Basgiath again. Doing like rider clothes or scribe clothes.
How weird. I totally missed that reference. Anyway.
Yeah. The snowstorm is still there, making it really difficult to see as well.
She says, I can't remember a more brutal series of storms than the ones that have battered the War College in the last 2 weeks, but without Mom.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Theophany again, and this is the bit where I think we know why she was so tired, because she was fighting all the time.
They are flying, and there's a moment where Aotrom nearly crashed with Tern. He managed to avoid him, but then he gets really angry at him, in charge at him as well. Violet complains to Tern because it was an accident, and Tern is nearly double-sized than Aotrom. And Tern only said, well, he's a 22 years old dragon, should know better, and even if he's arguing with his rider. So for me, I was like, okay, so when I was reading this for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, Aotrom's going to try and do something against Tern, because obviously the only way that the little dragon can actually hurt or kill Tern is with Violet. You kill Violet, you kill Tern.
Oh, yeah.
So, and there's, in this scene when Violet says, only close is in my vision. So it's like he's going after her. And that's why I was like, oh, there's something going on here. There's something dodgy. It's actually an accident, because Aotrom is a little bit like Ridoc. They're two the same.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely an accident, I think. We see all the way through.
Yeah. Obviously, like I said, the first time I was reading, so I didn't know what's going to happen after that. I found it like really suspicious, but then there's a part when Aotrom is just like it's like the Ridoc of the dragons.
Yeah. I think they're playing practical jokes on each other all the time. So I 100% think it was an accident. You don't go picking fights with Tern, particularly if the reason he was arguing with Ridoc was because he wanted to go back to Aretia. I have a theory about Aotrom, and I'm going to leave it until when we get to the part where we officially find out why they were arguing. But what I thought was interesting about the passage was that he says a 22-year-old dragon should know better, which means Ridoc and Aotrom are virtually the same age. They were born at the same time.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah, because you expect the dragons to be a lot older.
Like around 100 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So he's
like basically a like young adult. Like no
Sounds
wonder
like
he's,
Ridoc.
yeah, no wonder they are like joking all the time. Just like personality thing.
Yes. So after that, they are done with the search, then return to Basgiath. Violet is struggling with her saddle because it needs to be fixed, but Tern doesn't want to the Dark One close to him. So Violet asking not to call him like that, but Tern just tell him stop denying the truth. His soul is not his own. That kind of power is addictive.
Yeah, you know well that power is that kind of power is addictive. You know it, or you wouldn't be pretending to sleep at night. He twists his neck in a way that reminds me of a snake and levels a golden glare on me. Right, we're going to get some hate here because I'm already suspecting that 10... It's not that I suspect 10 is bad, it's that I expect that the dragons have forgotten where they came from and they are using stolen magic. The fact that he knows it's addictive, they basically have withdrawal symptoms when they go to the Isles and they can't use it. Mm-hmm. He says he's slower without the magic, and obviously they use it for speed, they use it for all sorts of things. And it's just a weird thing. He twists his neck the way that reminds me of a snake. And what do you picture when you see the word snake? It's deception, isn't it? It's a serpent. It's the Garden of Eden. It's exactly that. A snake conjures up all these visions of deceit and trickery. And this is why I don't think that's there by accident. I think that we are supposed to start to question if the dragons are the good guys.
I mean, it's coming from Rebecca Yarrow, so... Yeah,
the only other bit about this exchange is where Violet is asking Tern, I need to know whether you're with me before I go to the scenario. I need to know you're behind me, regardless of what the Empyrean are doing. Mm-hmm. And he says, meaning I will support the myriad of ways you plan to court death in the name of curing the one who is beyond redemption. And then tension crackles along Andana's bond. So Tern is, in this moment, thinking he is beyond redemption. Mm-hmm. That's also kind of similar to how it probably is, because Tern is stuck between Violet and Sorrengail. Sorrengail is not talking to Xaden, so obviously he has Sorrengail, who's been like quiet all day, and she must, like, in the Vale at the end of the day just be like, Gah! And then Violet is saying how great Xaden is, but Andana gets frustrated with Tern here because Andana's 100% behind Violet.
Right, so yeah, he said that he will help. He is not doing it because he trusts that they can say them back to normal. He's just doing it obviously because Sorrengail and Violet. So the dragons leave. Then she has some words with Ridoc, like, what happened? There was all that going on. So he was just apologizing and saying that, yeah, all of that is because Aotrom just want to go back to Aretia.
Do you want to know my theory about Aotrom?
Okay.
It's weird that Aotrom and Ridoc call it home, even though they've lived longer at Basgiath. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, it must just be that they like it. They feel like that's where they should be because they don't like being at Basgiath. I wonder if Aotrom is bonding a mate who is in Aretia, and he's far away from his potential dragon mate. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's normal to bond at 22 years old. Maybe it is. I'm not really sure what else would be so strong for them to be fighting so much about it. I know that they have a strange relationship anyway, Aotrom and Ridoc, but it could mean it like makes me excited because there's got to be a strong reason why Aotrom wants to go back. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because he's bonding another dragon.
Yes.
And that could mean another bond between Ridoc and another rider, like Xaden and Violet.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, it could go either way, couldn't it? If you, like, are always connected to Ridoc. I really like him after this book. And, yeah, I think whoever bonds him is a very lucky rider.
Yes, but that will be like another thing to think about Ridoc's ending, because that would be like another way for there's actually like a bond between the two dragons, and then is the other rider who dies, or the dragon of the other rider dies, that means the Ridoc of the dragon will die. But obviously, it's depend on the bond, I guess. If it's not a big, strong as
just be
Terrence
sad.
girl. Yeah,
Just
like,
be sad for
well,
her.
next.
Yeah, I'm worried for Aotrom at the end because there is a brown dragon with no tail. Like it's had a tail chopped off, and I'm worried that's Ridic's, but we'll see when we get there. What do you think? Do you think he could have bonded someone?
Yeah, I think it could be something possible, because why he's gonna call Aretia home? I wasn't even thinking it could be because the words or something that like feels different because they're not that good in Aretia.
Yeah, but they're not good. Yeah.
Yes,
No. So
weird.
I wholly think Aotrom and Ridoc, like they're just good guys.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know how Ridoc is with both men and women. He's like young and carefree and sleeping around.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like Aotrom could be quite similar, but there has got to be a strong reason why he wants to go home, why he's fighting so much. There's also a bit in this part of the chapter where it says maybe the god of death will curse me for keeping my mother's journals. So we'll curse Violet for keeping her mother's journals. But she would have a few choice words for him should they meet. I have always said that Violet is going to meet Malak. Not like in the way that everyone's like, oh, you'll meet Malak if you do something stupid, or I hope you meet Malak. I hope you die.
She's just going to die.
Yeah, no, I think we will get that confirmation, and I think there's even more evidence throughout this book, so I am going to be a pain in the arse. I'm going to highlight it every single time. But we now know there's more of a connection between Violet and Malak because of that epigraph, which literally says that he curries her favour. So I think that Malak is going to be quite a big part of book 4. Dune was a big focus of this one, and I think Malak will be a big focus of the next one. Obviously, I've got I don't know, but I feel like that sentence again where she's saying, should I meet Malak, I'll have things to say, just points to the fact that she's going to meet Malak.
I mean, we start to see there's like some magic going on between God stuff as well. There's not just like magic from the ground or the sky. There's some stuff that's just specifically involving gods. So,
and Theophany, she says, why should I worship a god when I could be one? And then Theophany, her name actually in Greek means a physical manifestation of a god. And perhaps she's already met Dune, like the bad version of Dune, and she has to fight her, and she was the good version of Dune. And then you've got like the others representing other gods. Maybe we'll get the physical manifestation of Malak as a Venin, and that'll be nailing.
I mean, it could be something related to the 6 more powerful riders. They only comes when something really bad is about to happen, like with the Venin. And I think so far it's like like 6 gods that we have seen so far. So.
Yeah, but there's a really good reel by Sarah Kane Reads that talks about there potentially being 7 gods.
7 gods.
Yeah, a 7th one.
Okay, so after the dragons leave, they're going to report into Aura Benhaven about the patrols and all the stuff that happens. And you can see from this point, there's a clear dislike from the rider.
She's a bitch. Or a Benhaven.
Yeah, so they call them like traitors because they went to Aretia. And I still don't get it. Like traitor because they want to fight against the Venin when the people who stay there, they just want to like keep protecting and the safety of their worlds. And they're saying they stand because they need to like defend them Basgiath, they need to defend Navarre, but defended from what? Because the Venin can go in.
From the Poromish people. They basically they basically think the Poromish people should just die. But then what do they think will happen when they get through Poromil and they've killed everyone? Where are they going to go next? Navarre. It's such a ignorant perspective.
Yeah.
But Aura Binehaven, is she the wing leader of Second Wing?
She is, can't remember. She's our wing leader, but I can't remember.
She was Dane's chain of command. And he was originally in Second Wing. So I've got a feeling she's in Second Wing. So something going on there, isn't there? And she is just a total twat. But she gets her just desserts later on in the book, doesn't she?
Yes. So Imogen appears and wants to talk to Violet. They are walking and talking about their plans to help Seidan. On the way, they spot a group of hooded scribes, potentially still working to get more accurate info about the battle, according to Violet.
Yeah, or just like sneaking around as Venin sneaking around as scribes. I know what I mean. Before we talk about that, though, they also see Caroline Ashton, and I'm getting really angry because I've had to deal with Aura Binehaven and Caroline Ashton in the same chapter. Violet says that truthsayers have cleared her. I can't shake the feeling that why would she be there? It's not just there because of that little bit of snippet that truthsayers have cleared her to be in the quadrant. Obviously, she was questioned after Jack took down the wards, and the truthsayers decided that she could be fine, but she could counter signets. Like Bodhi wouldn't really have that much trouble around a truthsayer, would he? He could lie till the cows come home because he can counter the signet. Caroline might be able to too. She's there for a reason. I think she had something to do with this because it involves Jack. They're going in to rescue him. She's there. She's at the scene of the crime. Yeah. There's something going on with Caroline Ashton.
She's probably maybe just close to give some information about how many people are and where they are. Like
she's helping
intel.
them.
Yeah.
She's helping them.
So Violet goes to infirmary to see Sawyer, and Imogen leaves. She only said, say hello to Sawyer from me. Then on the way to the infirmary, she waits Trigger, who is with the healers just helping. So this may be the first mention about Trigger for the people who, when in this chapter when he dies, not many people knew who was the one who died or whatever.
That's weird. Well, no, it's not. Like, we are not the average reader. We would read this book several times and dissect it. But Traeger was in Iron Flame.
Yeah. So just to spot it, guys, this is the guy who's going to die later. He's been dating Kat.
I don't think you're listening to this podcast if you don't know who Traeger is. Just got a hunch.
So Violet goes to see Sawyer. He's just with his squad. So, and the squad is including Kat and Marin as well. And they're just trying to make Sawyer laugh with some stories, some stuff. And Sawyer is he's smiling, but Violet noticed that he's more forcing it. Yeah,
I love this bit. It's so just the squad. They throw their jackets on the chair. They're just hanging out around. So it's they could be hanging out anywhere. They could be hanging out in the mess hall. They could be hanging out in Violet's room. They could be hanging out anywhere, but they want to be with Sawyer, so they're hanging out with Sawyer. I had a really funny read of the. I didn't know what shit-eating grin meant, so Ridoc glances my way with a shit-eating grin. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I couldn't work it out. A shit-eating grin. So I asked Discord. Apparently I think it's just not a saying in the UK. It might be now after Onyx Storm. People might pick it up. But Rosie, so thank you to Rosie, who told me it's an American saying for when someone is being cocky. She also asked her partner because she wanted to make sure that she'd got it right. He said it's a face you want to punch. And I think that's a bold thing to say when you're talking about Ridoc. There are thousands of women and men that will fiercely defend Ridoc to the ground. So Rosie's partner should be careful, really, saying things like that about Ridoc. Celine sent a reel from Diana _the_book_nerd on that very subject, and it is hilarious. So I think we should probably share the link to that reel
when you
the show
actually
notes.
can see the saying like coming to life.
Just for those that haven't seen it, it is somebody reading a book, and it says, when the author writes, or when the character gives a shit-eating grin, and then she opens her mouth and she's obviously just eaten a load of chocolate. It's very funny.
We expect it's chocolate.
Yes, I hope it's chocolate. There's a few little details in this scene that I just wanted to pull out. So Jacinia is writing to him. It's a real passing mention of it. Violet grabs something, but she has to lean over a letter from Jacinia, and they're writing to each other, which is sweet. Mm-hmm. And we find out that he's still channeling. So he grabs the pewter mug, and the handle kind of bends. And it's obviously he can't really control it at that time because he's stressed. He's like, he doesn't want to be there. But he's still channeling. So obviously his dragon is still
there for him. Yeah.
Sleek. Oh my God. The bit later on that made me cry so much. And then something else that stands out in this part of the chapter was when Violet says pain isn't a competition. There's always enough to go round. And that is like tragically true. And you always see on social media or even in a regular conversation, I guess normal people probably don't do this in a normal conversation. When somebody says, this is happening and it's terrible, and someone else will be like, yeah, but what about this? This is terrible. And they're like, well, both things can be terrible. You don't have to try and make one seem less terrible because there's something else that's terrible going on. It's just another one of these things where Rebecca Yarros has like a really clever way of commenting on how people are and how life is.
Then Sawyers tells them that he got a visit from Colonel Chandri, the commander of the retired riders. Ridoc can't believe it, and Sawyer is about to explain when a scream echoes from outside. They check outside, and there are some bodies with handprint marking the side of their neck. Venin. We haven't found them out in patrol because they are already here.
They're already inside.
Yes.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
The epigraph. This one is full of tea. The rarest of signets, those that rise once in a generation or century, have manifested concurrently with an equal twice in our records, both critical times in our history. But once have the 6 most powerful walked the continent simultaneously. I would rather not live to see it happen again. A study on signets by Major Dalton Cisneros. Oh, there's so much in this epigraph. The rarest signets that you see rise only once in a generation or a century have only manifested at the same time twice. So the first time must have been the first 6. And the second time, when was that? When was that? Is the study on signets by Major Dalton Cisneros, is that after the events? Because we know that Jacinia is writing this after the events. Or when did it happen the second time? It's not clear, is it?
We don't know anything about Major Dalton Cisneros. Is he pre these stories or is after?
Maybe we'll meet him and then we'll be like, oh, so the second time. And then both critical times in our history. The 2 critical times I feel like we know about is the First War and the Second Crovan Uprising. We don't know anything about the First Crovan Uprising, by the way. When was that? But then this time it says, but once have the 6 most powerful walked the continent simultaneously. If it was the first 6, how would you know that they were the 6 most powerful? They're The only one.
I guess it's just if you had a bunch of, I don't know, fire wielders, ice wielders, wind wielders, and then you had, I don't know, lightning wielder, shadow wielder, distant wielder. So you had this massive, and you had 6 of them. They're just amazing, and you have only just one. The only one. So I think that's the only thing you can say, yeah, that has to be there. 6 more powerful that we know, because there's no more like others.
We know we can take a guess at some of them because when the signets manifested, or when Violet found out about the signets, or just discussing the signets in general, we know that the text literally says that is a once in a generation, or that is, I haven't read about one of those in centuries, for example. The ones we know about are Lightning Wielder, obviously Violet, Shadow Wielder, obviously Xaden. The weird one, which you wouldn't think was so powerful, but Rhi, when she manifests, or when she tells Violet she's manifested her signet in Fourth Wing, it says, I haven't read about one of those in centuries. That's the type of career-making signet. And she literally says, I haven't read about one of those in centuries. So then we've got Rhi, potentially.
Yeah.
Then we've got the Distance Wielder, which is Garrick. And then I would say the only other one we have evidence for, I think, is Imogen's second signet. There is a particular line that says there hasn't been a stone or a rock or a stone wielder in centuries. And we know that that is Imogen's second signet. So I think her signet is significant. And perhaps that's like how the wardstones were made. And they, like, somebody thinks it's iron, but somebody thinks it's stone. Or something. Yeah, it's a wardstone, but somebody thinks it's iron. What if it was actually iron that was turned to stone or something? I don't know.
Combination that you can only get with signet, like something natural.
Someone like Imogen. Scribe Jeffsons has a really good carousel on this, and what she's actually done is she has linked those 6 powerful riders to the gods, and she has put Vi as Dune for obvious reasons, the hair. She's put Loyal, who is the god of love, as Xaden for obvious reasons. Amari as Rhi, because there was a comment, I think the first time that Violet met Rhi, it was she's the closest to the depictions of Amari that she's seen. Zinal, Garrick, I'm not sure why Zinal for that one, and then she had put a picture of Jack, I think, or the passage was Jack. I'm not the one who thinks precognition is a thing, but I think that she might mean that Auric is the Malak one. I would have Imogen in there because of she doesn't have Imogen in there, and I would have put Imogen in, but I like this. I like the connection to the gods. And maybe if Sarah Kane and her theory about there being 7 gods, maybe we could have them all in there because there'll be a 7th one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also like, I want to understand the part of where it says with an equal. So they've manifested concurrently with an equal. That could be that they have someone who can counter them, but I don't think it is that. I think it's with a Venin. I think it's an equal on the other side. So a dark wielder who has the same signet. So you've got Lilith Sorrengail, Theophany, and that means we will have a dark
2 shadow wielders now.
Yeah, and they would have to fight each other, and it means that we're probably going to meet at some point Violet's equal, because we thought Theophany might have been, but who is Violet's equal? We maybe just don't know them yet.
This is something that I was thinking before Onyx Storm came, when we were talking about why Jack was so important, that he nearly died, that they had like so much effort just to keep him alive. Then when the walls falls, the Violet said that, he'd been a Venin since we were fighting the man because he was like passing me power.
Yeah.
He was passing power through my body. He wasn't taking it. He was passing power. So I think the Jack is the... I don't know if it's going to be lightning wielder, but it's going to be the power.
So I don't think
Violet.
she's a lightning wielder, is she? She's a power wielder.
Yeah, but he's in the Venin side. So I think that's the reason the leadership knows this.
So that little shit stain is going to be the counter to Violet.
Yes, because you think about Jazzcore before he was a rider.
Power hungry.
Yeah, exactly. Then he get the dragon. He didn't want to wait for the dragon to give anything. So I'm guessing that maybe by the same time when the dragon was channeling on himself, he was learning to get in the power from the ground. So maybe he got the signal because in his core at that point was just power. And I think he's going to be the Venin side of Violet with his power wielded.
Oh my god, I love that. It totally could be.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes absolute sense.
Why leadership wants him alive so badly. Why after he broke down the walls, he's still alive. Why the Venin wants to give him back.
So it's Panchek. So Panchek would know that he's the counter to Violet.
Yeah.
Because why Berwin wants him back so bad.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. Totally agree now.
Yeah.
Okay, you've made me lose my train of thought because that's such a good theory. I think I made a mistake when I first read it and it said I would rather not live to see it happen again. I thought Major Dalton Cisneros was had seen it the first time, but it says as fascinating as that spectacle must have been, which makes me think he wasn't there at the time. So I don't think we'll meet him, and I don't think he was there to witness the first 6 or the second time that it happened. But it'll be interesting to work out when that second time was.
Okay, so just something to say before we start with the chapter because we haven't started yet.
Oops.
This chapter is the one that was shared by the magazine Cosmopolitan. So we already knew about this chapter before Onyx Storm was released. We actually had a special episode about this that you can hear it as well if you haven't heard it. So we're not going to repeat all the same thing that we did there. We're going to talk about the stuff that we know now.
I've forgotten what it said.
Yeah, but it's more about the stuff that we know now after reading the whole book.
We've got it in context because it was just a snippet. We didn't even know where it was in the book.
Yeah,
we suspected it was early, didn't we?
Yeah, we were saying from the beginning that has to be like in the first month when this happened, probably a couple of weeks. We were right.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I said it was going to be immediately after.
Yeah, I saw with this lieutenant and all the stuff that was going on, so I'm giving maybe a couple of weeks.
But I was thinking about the injured in the corridors. I thought that the people that had been in the infirmary might have recovered a bit in 2 weeks, some of them, and then they might have freed up a few beds. But the bodies are still lined up down the corridor. It feels anyway.
Yeah,
I was wrong.
Okay, so they are within the walls. Taryn is the one who shouted about it. Violet said, I know that already. She is getting ready with the daggers. She gets one to Sawyer. She said, none of us died today. We hear Reese saying, Merrin, protect Sawyer. Cat, hell, whatever you can.
Do whatever you do.
Yeah, just don't be in the middle. Or something like that. It's just weird.
Don't make a mess. Yeah, it is. It is weird because Kat is incredibly powerful, and we saw that when she was at the end of Iron Flame, when she was escalating the emotions of that Venin.
Yes.
Winifred. I just want to point out Winifred. Mm-hmm. Winifred is very old. Okay, so she is married to Nolan. Yeah. Nolan is 80, I think she says. If he's she's
something like that. Yeah.
She holds the wailing infantry cadet by his upper arms. What chance is she? She's I'm sorry, she's an 80-ish-year-old healer. And she's restraining. Yes, Winifred. She's a very strong woman. She's holding him and he's wailing.
Yeah. Actually, well, we don't know if there's like the same age or only maybe Nolan
A
was.
sugar daddy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Was maybe 16, she was 20, and she managed to get her.
Maybe. Who are we to judge?
Yeah.
We listen and we do not judge. We read and we do not judge.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's Ridoc, and Violet, the one they go to see what's going on. They see two more riders sprint through the infirmary doors behind them, both from second wing. Maybe helping the Venin to go in again. It's just another like thing for a second wing, just sus.
Yeah.
They're still walking. They see a scry running towards them. Violet gets ready to attack. Henry asks to the scry, which way did they go? And the hood falls, revealing the red rimmer eyes with spiderweb veins at his temples.
Which are the scribes of Venin? Markham? I don't think he is. I think he's just an arsehole.
Yeah, I mean, if he is a Venin, it's going to be like first stage, because we have no reference about the eyes or anything else. So he might be in the Colonel Atos Club. They're just helping each other, maybe building super soldiers or something like that from the Venin. I think that's the thing they are doing.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah.
He's not a Venin. He is a knobhead.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Venin is preparing to attack, but Violet, she just flicked her wrist and boom, already in the heart.
It's more like
go. So she stabbed her in the heart, and Ridoc asks how did she know? And Violet replies, a scribe would have run towards the archives. So you see that she is now here in the logical part, even when everything is going on around her, she just focused and she's just really logical in what she's doing. And I think maybe this like the first step that we get from her doing this kind of like logical thinking.
Really quick.
Like
the first time? No.
In this time I'm talking
okay.
because in Iron Flame she was a mess, and now it's just like she's focused. She is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you're right.
So she found the gravity or the center, and now it's like she knows what she's doing.
She's very different in this book, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's very like, I mean, especially when we get to Haedion.
Yeah.
She's grounded.
Yeah.
And isn't that interesting that came after her mum died?
True. I think maybe you see the change that she had no time to mourn his dead, and then she just focused.
Yeah, she literally says, because Andana says you can grieve, and she says, if I grieve every time, then
that's the only thing that she will be doing all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's your mum, Violet. So if you're gonna grieve,
give her one night or something.
Yeah.
But then, she gets back the dagger, and she feels the Aloham power is a little dimmer. So she's hopefully thinking that it's gonna be enough magic to have another killing blow. So I think maybe here when we were talking before, now we know why they're constantly getting weapons, because the magic runs out once it's used. So they are following the screens, and they are going to the torture chamber. They are keeping the backs to the stone wall, and Violet sends us silent thanks to Baylor Norris for building Basgiath with stone. And we talk about this in the special episode about this, but again, still a little bit random and a little bit weird that she's like taking the time for this.
Yeah. We thought that it was Signa or like...
Yeah, there was a lot of people thinking that, she can travel on time, or she can, I don't know, like, do this kind of stuff, and that's like the first hint, but couldn't be more wrong about it.
Yeah. No, but something that I still think you're right about, and I still really like the connection that you identified as with Baylor Norris.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't see a reason for it. Maybe for the next book, or maybe an early red herring, because we don't. If you think about the first time we read this, we didn't have a clue what her second signet was,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there are a few red herrings on the way to finding out, because we'd be like, oh my gosh, she can feel the past, or she can do something with the past. But I still like the connection with Baylor. We don't know anything about Baylor. He's not or as far as we're aware, he's still not manifested a signet by the end of the book, or it's a non-event.
No, we don't know at the moment about his signet. I don't remember.
No, it's his friend, isn't it? It's Lynx.
Yeah, he's the new Shadow Wielder.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe we'll find out something the Norris family know about Basgiath, like a secret chamber or something. It's gonna be the link.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it's something like this.
Yes.
Linked to the Norris family. So they can hear they're trying to open the door where Jack Barlowe is.
So I have been absolutely racking my brains about why they would go on such a epic rescue mission for Jack fucking Barlowe. But you've convinced me. It's because he's the counter to Violet and they know it.
Yeah. I was thinking about it since I don't play him, but after reading Onyx Storm, we're like, yeah, I think it's going to be this. We
literally had this conversation, like, what was his signet? What was his signet? And we didn't know what it was going to be. And obviously they've come for Barlowe, and this is Panchek. Panchek's behind this. We get confirmation of that at the end. We always suspected Panchek, but this is kind of there's evidence in this chapter that he's actually the one that's virtually given them the key, but not given them the key. It's like, he says at the end, I'm the only one who can give you access to your son. But he can't, because they couldn't get him out. They were trying. So Panchek let them in, but he didn't give them the key.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Why? Why didn't he just give them the key?
Yeah, I mean, he's the one who was like running Basgiath at the time. Why just don't say okay, I need to take Jack Barlowe to transportation or something. Made out something to keep it out.
Yeah.
And then just...
Because Atos isn't there yet, is he?
No, he's probably with, I don't know, Melgreen celebrating his new promotion.
Well, they might be negotiating. I think he's an arsehole, so I think he'd be like, I need more money. You need me to, you need to pay me more.
Then he's doing like mind tricks with Melgreen.
Yeah.
Because it was Panchek, the one who was to go after Basgiath. Why Atos? When Atos was like... The last 6 months, he was out of the place.
I blame Lilith for keeping him so close to her for so long. But it's like that thing, isn't it? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, oh, you've been shadowing. You've done your like training with Lilith.
Yeah. Yeah, I know everything. She showed me everything, so I know how to run the place.
Yeah. It's like when Voldemort takes over Hogwarts. By a Snape.
Spoiler alert.
But it's not. Well, it's not a spoiler. I made it seem like Snape was bad. Oh, no. If anyone wants a conversation separately about why I dislike Severus Snape, then feel free to. I should set up a channel on the Discord.
So they arrive at the antechamber, and Violet can see 2 Venin with scribe robes and a female with a ruby hilted sword. She has a long silver braid with faded tattoo on her forehead. She sees Violet with a smirk and she disappears. So we thought at the beginning that this could be Satan's mom. There could be something
Violet
like
from the future, I think somebody had said at some point.
But no, this is just like the first time that we actually see this new character going into Onyx Storm. It's Theophany that he was there.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing for me that the main villain of one of the books and the middle book has not been met before. And I wonder if Berwin is the main big baddie or if Jack will be it, because it'll be Berwin will die in the next one. And then now, I'm sorry, I haven't planned for this because that theory just like wiped me out. But it could be that that's the natural progression is that Theophany, then it's Berwin in the next book, and then it's Jack in the next book, because Jack has taken over from Berwin. But we normally, in a series, you have a bad, like, think of Lord of the Rings, for example. You've got Sauron, who is the big bad thing. You got Saruman as well. But you normally know the villain, don't you, right from the beginning? And this one's it's different.
Well, we see now there's like in every single book, there's a main villain, and the villain doesn't make it out of the book very well. So in Forwin, well, yeah, it was Colonel Atos, like the main one. He's the only one that's still alive. And Iron Flame was Burton Varish. He was the main villain there. He died. Well, as far as we know, he dies there. Then, and this one, she was kind of like the main one because she nearly killed Stern. She was chasing Violet. She was like really powerful, and then she dies as well in this book. So it's...
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe Berwin is the big, because I see it a bit differently to that. I see that I don't think Dane's dad was the big bad guy in Fourth Wing. I think he set it up, but I think the main sage, Berwin, was there at Ressen. I think he was supposed to be the bad guy.
He was there and he ran.
Yeah.
Well, he disappeared.
But then he was there in Iron Flame with Xaden, and then he was there in this, but he's like kind of in the background. Theophany talked about him a lot. Theophany was like, he's the shit one, don't go with him. She mentioned him a lot. But yeah, it is it feels slightly weird that we don't know who is the big bad guy, but I don't know if it really matters, because it's like the Venin are the bad guys. It's like a group of people in it that's bad.
Kill one and then another one come back.
Yeah.
Or take their place. Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to draw out was the ruby sword, because I remember being a bit unhinged last time and like searching for ruby throughout the two books and not really finding a lot, apart from Violet's OG daggers. She had a ruby one. I did the same thing in Onyx Storm. I think this means that she came from Moraine. The Duchess of Moraine, who is a bitch, has a giant ruby necklace and giant ruby earrings. And we know that emeralds are related to Tyrandor. So I wondered whether rubies, in the same way rubies are associated with Moraine. And I'm surprised, actually, because emerald, I thought it would be like onyx or something. That would be Tyrandor, and then depending on where the dragons' dens were, they would be matching with the stone. But anyway, it seems to be Moraine, and that makes me wonder whether Theophany is somehow linked to Lyra, because Lyra was the first 6 and she was from Moraine. So I just wondered if there was some kind of link there. Because of the rubies. Also, just interestingly, I don't know whether maybe it's just a random reference to a ruby, but I am insane. So Kat also gets gifted a necklace with a ruby the size of Violet's thumb from Zanal.
Yeah.
So it's just some ruby references that jump out.
Yeah. I remember when we are just speculating about who was this woman with the silver hair. Lyra was like one of the candidates as well. We started thinking that maybe the 6 more powerful, they're still around, but as a Venin. So we were like, oh, maybe it's Lyra, the one who's dead.
Yeah.
So Violet can believe it, but she doesn't lose the focus because this person just disappeared. So like, okay, there's more Venin here, so we need to just keep fighting. So she kills one of the Venin, throwing the dagger right in the throat. And one of the Venin that are there recognize her, saying, no, kill her, we need her. And Violet again is like, oh, it's just because they want me so they can control Satan. So, fuck them, that's not going to happen. So, It's like, Violet.
I know.
So clever sometimes, so, I don't know, naive. Oh, she doesn't believe that she is that special.
Yeah, and I get that because her mum and her dad has treated her differently, but her mum has kind of basically never.
Yeah, she was always like the Shane of the family Sorrengail. Yeah. But Violet has the Venin in front of her. The Venin said that, well, you can't will here inside, and you know that you can't kill me with a dagger. And then she sees the shadows start to move around, and she said, well, I don't have to do it. And then shadows explode around, leaving all in the dark, and Violet recognizes that as a home of this dark place. And while she can hear the screams, the shadows fall, and all the Venin are dead. Satan is there with Garrick as a second lieutenant, and Satan asks to Violet, tell me, Violet, why is it always you?
Zayden's back, and he's back with a promotion. He's had a promotion. Did we speculate on what this could be last time? Did we say that we thought it could have been part of Devera's negotiations?
Yeah, I remember there was some mentions about it. They come back to Basgiath with big promotions.
Yeah.
It's more about there's not that many around, so you need to.
If you stick around long enough, you'll be promoted because you are not dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense too.
I know some workplaces when it's literally like that. You stay longer enough, you will be promoted really quick.
You'll be the boss.
Yeah.
Because everyone else will leave or die. Hopefully not.
No, in the workhouse when I was, but
good.
Okay, so 1 hour later, they are dismissed by Panchek. They are surprised that he isn't bothered about all of that was to get Jack out of the prison.
Surprise. Really obvious foreshadowing that, isn't it? But, I mean, we were suspicious of Panchek for a while, but even that line, like, I was reading this the first time I was reading it probably so quickly that I didn't even think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another one of those, like, little Easter eggs that I love so much, where you get foreshadowing without realizing it. I thought it was interesting that Ree was like, maybe it's not the first time. And then I was like saying out loud, or maybe it's because Panchek is a traitor. The only other thing I wanted to say about this bit was that I love Ridoc with Zayden and Garrick. It was like, I totally had him. And they were like, no, you didn't. And this is where it feels like Ridoc is starting to be accepted by them and like part of the group, which will come in handy later.
It was really funny, Ridoc trying to like defend himself. I totally got it. No, you didn't. Why make you think that I didn't have it? Because you were on one side and just saw it on the other side.
On the other.
Yeah, I was working on it. So then I look and Gary like, oh my god, this guy. So they're working together and Satan asks for 5 minutes alone with Violet. Gary resists at the beginning, but in the end, they had their time together. So yeah, Satan is tired of being alone, not even a minute. Violet wants to cheer him up, saying that today he will his sickness within the wards. And she asks if Sorrengail told him that she was in danger, and he says she isn't talking to him. Flying is awkward as fuck. So this is the part when Rebecca Yarrow said that at the beginning of the book, Sorrengail is not talking to Satan. So we start to see this, that she is just still working together, but definitely not that relationship they used to be.
But I've just thought that is actually worse than ever. Because Sorrengail is putting her disgruntlement, that's probably like the worst word ever, but the fact that she's pissed with Zayden above Tern's life. Because Violet is in danger. She did not relay that to Zayden, who could go and help her, who could keep her alive, and hence keep Tern alive.
Mm-hmm.
Sorrengail's not passing on any information that she gets from Tern to Zayden.
Yeah.
So she's putting that above Tern's safety.
Yeah, but maybe it's because Sagael starts to trust to Violet. Maybe turns her like, yeah, she's fighting somebody right now, and she will like, yeah, she will get it. She's strong. She's whatever.
Yeah,
Because not even turn was like, on my way, or you can't do anything. They are inside the torture chamber, so unless they turn and start to like rip off all the place,
he's just like, snap out of it, focus, do this, do that.
Yeah,
it's not
that's
like...
it. Satan tells to her that Sagael can tell that he's not whole, that she can sense it.
Do we think he's whole?
I think he might still feeling like the hunger for power. He can see it now, like really clear, this right there, so close. But his conscience, his heart is still in the same place.
His soul?
Yeah,
I think so too.
Still there.
I am convinced that it's different if you turn for love. There's got to be a reason. Also, maybe if he is the physical manifestation of Loyal, the god of love, perhaps he is able to resist it. I don't know.
There's really interesting part when he was talking with Jack Barlowe at the beginning, the prologue, when Jack says to say that not even you tell what is taken from you when you channel from the ground. So is he always the soul, or could be anything? That's the question that I have.
That's a good point.
Because, from the information that we got, like, your soul is destroyed and everything, but then when they say the magic light balance is taking something from you, so is he going to be the soul, or is it going to be something else?
Yeah, it depends what magic thinks is a fair price.
Yeah, like to balance when he's doing it.
And mostly that's the soul. But Theophany says it's not possible to love, like, our kind do not love.
And she was like, say that, yes, he loves me. And
I genuinely think he does. Do you still love me?
I could reach the rank of Maven, lead armies of dark wilders against everyone we cared for, and watch every vein in my body turn red as I channel all the power in the continent, and I will still love you. What I did doesn't change that. I'm not sure anything can.
Yes, that's good. So he is convinced, and I don't think he would say that. He's not an actor. He is still whole. But why can Sagael sense that he's not? And also, again, from what we suspect of dragons, it's a bit rich, isn't it? Coming from Sagael.
Yeah, true.
It's different if they turn for love. I will die on this hill. It is different if they turn to love. It's got to turn for love. It's got to be. And perhaps this is where I can buy into your Lilith theory. But she's dead. So I definitely can sign on to the fact that she was Venin. But because she turned for love and she chose to sacrifice her power for the people that she loved, the 3 children, that was a fair price. Magic saw that as a fair price.
That's the thing there. We need to start, like, always remember magic, like, everything on balance.
It's not up to the person it's not up to you. It's up to magic. Whatever that means. It's up to magic. So I don't think magic would take Zayden's soul. Yeah, that's what I'm choosing to believe anyway.
That's going to be the interesting part to see that if it's not the soul, what could the magic take from Zayden to make him fair? Because even when he turned into an assassin, there's just like full venom. He's still himself. He's like when talking to Sagael, like, is this now like a reason for you to like forsake me or something like this? And he's still thinking that he needs to do something to protect Violet.
But maybe it's not taking anything. Because maybe the magic is willing to give it if you are doing it for good reason. To fight the people that are stealing it. Because that's the thing. There's got to be a balance, hasn't there?
Yeah.
Maybe the magic is absolutely fine with people channeling in extreme circumstances. Maybe if you've got a note from a parent or guardian that you're doing the right thing, you can channel and it's no biggie.
Maybe it's the fact as well that he wants to get rid of that. He was looking for a cure. He doesn't feel like that. He doesn't want that power. He wants to be himself.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not his taking. Maybe he's just borrowing the magic, and then at some point
maybe they're given. Maybe
back.
the magic is being given to him because he doesn't want it. And this is there's a bit later on in the book where Xaden says, and this is a really common saying, like a common quote, that the best leaders are the ones who never ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the best people, the best magic wielders are the ones who don't want it, don't take it. I think there's something in this. I think that maybe the magic doesn't need a payment.
Interesting.
What does that mean for Lynx? Because perhaps if Xaden, while he is what we're supposed to think is that the shadows are choosing Lynx because they've lost Xaden.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe Lynx is Xaden's negative balance, and maybe Lynx is the bad one. Because it doesn't matter where you get any power from. But also he's still channeling from Sorrengail.
Yeah.
This, I genuinely think that magic would know if you're doing things for good or bad.
So many theories.
Yeah.
It's just episode 1 of the deep dive.
I know, but this is a new one.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, Violet tries to show him that he's still himself, that nothing had changed, and he tells her that he found her just because he was chasing the Venin, that he can sense them, in the same way they can sense him. So, yeah, we get now here that Venin can sense another Venin, regardless of the sage or whatever. Mm-hmm. They can feel when
but
another
only the
Venin
same
is.
level.
So that was something that for me was like, okay, so if Satan is Venin now, he will know if Brennan is a Venin, isn't it? But
an initiate, yeah, unless he's
above, or if it's a wyvern, that's the thing that I'm thinking now. He won't. But yeah, it's something interesting that Venin can sense each other when it's the same level. And that's how he knows that he has changed. Scared yet?
No, because I'm not scared. It's going to be fine. Nobody needs to be scared.
Yes. And that was the end of chapter 2.
Yes. So I have noticed that the chapters... I have noticed, because it's obvious, not because I'm clever, that the chapters are a lot shorter in Onyx Storm than they have been in the previous ones. We've got 66 chapters to cover. Mm-hmm. We're going to attempt to do 3 each week, but we are going to have to find one episode where there's 4. But I noticed that there's a few chapters where they're literally just 3 pages. So we'll do it then. We'll make a plan. We never make plans, but we will make a plan. So we've got to the end of the chapters that we're going to cover this week, but we haven't got to the end of what we want to talk about. So we have got a new section of the show called Oryx Auguries. So as we know, Oryx has manifested the totally insane signet of precognition. So this will be the part of the show where we say what our favourite theory is and lock it into our precog vault of predictions for the next book. And just before the next book, I mean, maybe at the end of this series and then just before the release of the next book, which we just have no idea when it's going to be, we will make a montage of all of our Oryx Auguries. So what is your favourite theory that relates to this chunk of chapters?
The one that I'm going to keep from this chapter is that Lilith Sorrengail is not dead. That's the one that I'm going to keep dead until to the end of the book 5.
Okay, so when we thought about this segment, I was sure I was going to be like, Aotrom has bonded as somebody in another dragon in Aretia. I'm now going to go with the fact that Jack, well, this is totally your theory, but it's my absolute favourite, that Jack Barlowe is Violet's magic balance. He has a pure power signet, and he is going to be the one that is Violet's true equal.
Yes.
I love it.
I was thinking about that one too. But yeah, I totally convinced as well that Jack is going to be Violet's equal.
I am going to totally read, like going into this reread of the rest of Onyx Storm, I'm going to read it completely differently because of that theory. Okay, so sticking with the theme of precognition, the epigraph for chapter 3, which we will cover next week, so we'll give people a week to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I worry about Violet. She has your sharp wit, quick mind, and steadfast heart, paired with my bull-headed tenacity. When she... I don't know why Lilith is really British. I start like that. Sometimes I worry about Violet. She has your sharp wit, quick mind, and steadfast heart, paired with my bull-headed tenacity. When she finally truly gives that heart, I fear it will overrule the other gifts you've given her, and logic will cede its voice to love. And if her first 2 liaisons are any indication of what we might expect, God's help her, my love. I'm afraid our daughter has atrocious taste in men. Recovered unsent correspondence of General Lilith Sorrengail.
That was a really long epigraph.
It was, but it's so good.
Yes.
I can't wait to dive into that. But I can wait to talk about Holden because he's a pain in the arse. But anyway.
Yes. So before we wrap up, we are going to enter in the interrogation chamber.
Ooh.
We're going to extract you to the interrogation chair and ask you one question to feed into next week's episode.
So this is another new part of the show. We want to give you something to think about over the next week. We are going to ask you a question, and we'd like you to send us a DM, we'll put it on our stories on Instagram. We will also ask the question in our Discord. Taking Violet and Xaden out of the picture, who is the most powerful rider we know of? And we will add our own thoughts next week, but we want to hear yours too.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we hope you enjoy being back in the deep dives.
I did. If you're not already doing so, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at FaithfullyFantasyPod. We now also have some options to subscribe for more content, both on Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and Supercast via our website. There are so many options to choose from, so there is something for everyone.
We will be more active on Instagram and Discord, so make sure you join the conversations. And thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy,
the husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm. We've got you covered as you spiral out of control after finishing Onyx Storm.